Unlock divine peace. 7 miraculous steps to supernatural calm amidst life's challenges in the heart of a bustling city. Underneath the chaos of traffic and sirens, there was a haven of faith. St. Gabriel's stood tall with its ancient stone, a testament to the hope it provided for many souls. Within its walls, prayers intertwined with sunlight filtering through vibrant stained glass, casting a heavenly glow over those seeking refuge. For Sarah, a devoted mother, this sanctuary had always been a source of comfort, but her current trials felt like an insurmountable storm. Her husband, Michael, lay ill, a mysterious ailment puzzling doctors and amplifying her anxiety. With despair lurking in her heart, she found herself clinging to her faith as if it were a lifeline thrown amidst turbulent waters. As Sarah knelt in prayer one evening, the air crackled with the electric presence of the divine. Suddenly, a wave of warmth enveloped her. Was it a mere coincidence, or was it something greater? That night, her tears fell for Michael, but with each drop, she felt a whispering promise that peace was closer than she imagined. Miraculous visions began to emerge. A conversation with an old friend sparked reconciliation, brightening her world, while an intimate prayer circle witnessed a soul-stirring, healing, and unexplainable act that left everyone present with hearts wide open, resonating with joy and gratitude. But it wasn't until a shocking encounter at work that doubt crept in her heart like a thief. A well-known skeptic challenged her beliefs fiercely, throwing her into a whirlwind of confusion. The thought of succumbing to worldly answers overwhelmed her spirit. Yet, through it all, the whisper of divine hope urged her to seek understanding rather than fear. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. The winds began to shift. Sarah's heart found rhythm amidst the chaos as she embraced her faith anew. During an evangelical gathering, her community surrounded her, uniting in prayer, their voices echoing promises of support. There, in the spotlight to share her story of struggle, divine intervention, and the profound blessings that emerged amidst adversity, Sarah could feel heavenly joy surging through her. Yet, as she opened her mouth to speak, a revelation struck her like lightning. Her struggles had purpose. She stood on the edge of transformation, a divine presence swirling within and around her. The air thickened, filled with whispers of the sacred, as Sarah's journey awaited its next chapter. Would she embrace the miracles unfolding, or would the whispers of doubt drown it all out? The audience held its breath, yearning for her to discover the miraculous peace that awaited amidst her chaos. As Sarah stood there, the words tangled on her tongue. She felt an overwhelming tide of emotion wash over her. A quiet strength surged within her, whispering that her story was not just for herself but for the souls listening. She inhaled deeply, letting that sacred breath fill her lungs, and with gentle courage, she began to speak. I stand here not just as a wife or a mother, but as a seeker. Her voice trembled at first, but then found its steadiness. I have been lost. I have questioned, but I have also found moments of incredible grace. When you think you're alone, when the storms of life roar around you, that is when you must lean into faith. A collective gasp rose from the congregation as if a divine breeze had swept through the room. The light from the stained glass painted their faces in colors of hope. She could see the nods, hear the murmurs of agreement, an echo of shared struggles binding them together. In that moment, Sarah understood that each face in the crowd carried its burdens, yet they all shared the light of faith. She plunged deeper into her heartfelt narrative, recounting the long nights when she lay awake, whispering prayers to a God who seemed so far away. But there were also those instances when hope had broken through the shadows, unexpected acts of kindness, like a stranger's smile or a friend's unforeseen call. Tears glistened in the eyes of the faithful, their hearts beginning to resonate with a similar journey. "We are all in this together," Sarah continued, passion igniting her words. "Every prayer we utter is a thread weaving the fabric of our community, binding us closer to each other and to the divine." As she spoke, she could feel the atmosphere shift. Hope billowed around her, filling the church with a palpable energy. A few souls raised their hands, openly receiving the blessing she was unknowingly bestowing. She smiled, the warmth spreading through her once more. But then, just as joy filled their hearts, a whisper from the back drafted into her thoughts, a reminder of the persistent skeptic. He may not be present now, but doubts lingered at the edges of her consciousness like dark clouds threatening her sunshine. "Yet I know doubts exist," she admitted, casting her gaze across the room. "There are nights when faith feels light, and other moments when it feels heavy as stone. But it is in those moments of heaviness that we must press in deeper. Listen to the soft voice of heaven urging us to rise above our fears." The congregation leaned in, caught by her fervent sincerity. She felt their spirits awaken, a spark igniting hope. Just then, something shifted in the air, and Sarah could sense the divine weaving into their stories. Healing was happening not just for her, but among them all, broken hearts stitching together through shared experience. As the prayers' circle deepened, a profound stillness fell, broken only by the sound of hushed whispers as new revelations erupted in the hearts of others. Sarah felt a stirring, an awareness that the divine had much more in store, a mystery yet to unfold. "Before we leave this sacred space," she declared, "let us take a moment to ask what our struggles are teaching us. What new miracles are waiting for us to embrace?" Silence enveloped them, each individual reflecting on their own questions, and that silence seemed heavy with divine potential. Sarah's heart pounded. She could almost see the unfolding paths before them, glimmering with possibilities. As the time for community prayer beckoned, Sarah stood at the threshold of transformation, while the whispers of the unseen opened realms of hope. Little did she know, her next step would leap beyond her dreams into realms of supernatural wonder. What would unfold next in this journey of faith? How would the whispers of God lead them beyond understanding and into divine revelation? The air was thick with expectation as Sarah closed her eyes, tuning into the heartbeats around her. She felt as if time had paused, each moment stretching into an eternity of potential. The sanctuary, once a mere building, transformed into a holy ground where the very essence of faith lingered, waiting to pour forth into their lives. "Let us invite the divine into our questions," she suggested softly, her voice a melodic hush amongst the sound of deep inhalations. "What do we carry? What weighs heavily on our souls? Let us bring these burdens to light." A few heads bowed, pensiveness taking hold, while others exchanged glances that held unspoken truths. Sarah could sense a tangible shift, an awakening of voices that could no longer remain silent. It was a call, a deep longing for connection that reached out like an open hand, inviting each heart to share. "Fear not," Sarah reminded them, her tone buoyant with promise. "Every struggle is a seed, a catalyst for growth. Within the shadow lies the opportunity for light to break through." Slowly, one by one, souls began to open up. A young man spoke about the crippling weight of loss. An elderly woman shared her journey through loneliness. Each story echoed with tears and laughter, a myriad of emotions blooming together like colorful wildflowers in spring. The collective experiences stirred something within Sarah. They were not merely recounting hardships. They were releasing chains that had bound them for too long. Then, a voice rang out, bold and fierce. "But what if healing doesn't come?" It belonged to a woman seated towards the back, her eyes shining with a mix of pain and frustration. "What do we do when prayers feel unanswered?" Sarah's heart ached for her sister's plight. "Ah, but that is where faith truly begins," she replied, her intention grounded in love. Faith isn't just found in answered prayers, but also in the trust that there is a greater plan. Sometimes, the silence becomes the sacred space where we find strength. Like a seed underground, hidden but alive, waiting for the right moment to break free. A gentle murmur rolled through the congregation as they considered her words. The atmosphere was electric, each whisper connecting them, weaving a web of faith stronger than any single thread. Sarah pressed on, propelled by an unseen force. In this sacred circle, let us choose to embrace the unknown together. Let us transform our fears into whispers of possibility. What if each challenge is an invitation to experience God in a new way? A hush filled the room again, but this time it carried the weight of wonder. Hope floated like the warm rays of sunlight pouring through the stained glass, each color bathing them in a promise. Sarah opened her hands, inviting everyone to join her in an act of surrender. Let us hold our burdens lightly and turn them into prayers of gratitude. Let us launch those worries up to heaven, trusting they will be tended to with divine love. As thick, sweet silence settled over them, Sarah felt it, a deep-rooted peace sweeping the room like a soft breeze. The congregation's spirit began to rise with a newfound strength. Then came a revelation that pierced the air, clear as a bell. Our trials can lead us home, she proclaimed, her heart soaring. Every moment spent in darkness is an opportunity to find the light. We are never without a guide. A soft wave of sounds, cries of joy, and tears of release filled the sanctuary. With gathered hearts, they began to close in prayer, voices rising in a beautiful tapestry of thankfulness and surrender. In that moment, a whisper rippled through the congregation, a stirring of grace, the very essence of hope swirling amongst them. As they finished, Sarah sensed their spirits uplifted, yet she could feel her own heart racing, the divine still beckoning. Something more lay ahead, waiting to be revealed. What shall our hearts discover tomorrow? Sarah pondered, a question ready to ignite the next journey of faith. What new wonders could emerge from this sacred fellowship? The next day dawned with a golden light spilling through the stained glass windows, filling the sanctuary with a warm embrace. Sarah arrived early, her heart fluttering with expectancy. She could still feel the vibrations of the previous night, like whispers echoing in her soul. As the congregation slowly gathered, conversations hummed lightly through the air, laughter mixing with hesitant tones. It was as if everyone held tight to the threads of yesterday's revelations, each moment pregnant with potential. Today, Sarah began, gently yet firmly, bringing focus to the attention in the room. We will dive deeper into our connections. We will explore how we can place our anxieties into the divine's hands and experience peace that surpasses understanding. She sensed their eagerness, a palpable thirst for guidance. Have you ever felt like you were caught in a storm, waves crashing around you, threatening to pull you under? Heads nodded in agreement. The storms of life were all too familiar. But, she continued, what if I told you that there is calm waiting to be unlocked? What if each of you is holding the key? This peace is not elusive. It lies within our reach. With a warm smile, she began to lay out the 7 steps that the divine spirit had placed on her heart. The first step, she proclaimed, is to acknowledge your storms. Name them, inspect them, and invite God into your chaos. Each storm is a chance to identify what is truly troubling you. A light murmur filled the room. Sarah could see eyes widening as the truth began to sink in. Secondly, she moved seamlessly into the next point. Learn to breathe. A deep breath grounds you, allowing room for the holy presence to fill you. Let go of the fears with every exhale, offering them to God. Picture them becoming clouds drifting away. Tears glimmered in the corners of some eyes, hearts beginning to soften in vulnerability. The third step, Sarah said, weaving her message with purpose, is gratitude. In any situation, there is always something to be thankful for. Gratitude shifts our focus from despair to hope. As she spoke, she noticed a ripple of energy. People began to whisper what they were grateful for, voices rising and mingling like a sweet melody, breathing new life into their atmosphere. Step 4 is surrender, she continued, her voice rich with empathy. Let go of the need to control everything. Trusting the divine is freeing, like shedding a heavy coat on a warm day. A wave of amen echoed through the room as participants surrendered, feeling lighter with each acknowledgement of their burdens. Fifth, seek supportive community, Sarah urged passionately. Surround yourself with those who uplift you. Faith is contagious. Your joy can heal others. A young woman near the front chimed in, her voice vibrant, yes. Together, we can carry each other's burdens. Absolutely, Sarah encouraged her, joy lighting her face. Step 6 is faith, trusting that God is working even when the pathway is unclear. Our faith doesn't require proof, only obedience. Finally, she reached the 7th step. Embrace your journey. Understand that this is a process. Just like a seed needs time to grow into a tree, so too our peace blossoms in time. As she concluded, an energy coursed through the room, spirits uplifted, hearts aching with anticipation. Let us pray together, opening our hearts to embrace these steps, inviting the divine to seal them in our lives. As voices rose once more in a collective chorus of thanks and devotion, Sarah felt the air thicken with promise. Each word was a thread weaving tighter, creating a bond infused with hope and transformation. Then she heard a whisper, just for her, shimmering with possibility. What miracles await when we unlock these steps together? An unquenchable curiosity sparked in her heart, propelling her to wonder what the next chapter of their journey would unfold. It felt like a door was just starting to open. As the last echoes of their prayers drifted into the stillness, Sarah sensed a shift in the atmosphere. Something tangible hung in the air, alive with the electricity of hope. With hearts unburdened and spirits raised, the congregation sat quietly, eyes fixed upon her, waiting for what would emerge next. Now, she said, a soft but determined edge to her voice, let us allow our hearts to ponder what it truly means to unlock these steps together. She took a moment, her gaze sweeping over the faces before her. Each one reflected a story, a personal battle, a silent cry, a flicker of faith. What if, she proposed gently, we attempted to embody these steps not only here, but out there where our lives intertwine with those who may not yet know this peace? Imagine the transformation we could foster. A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. This wasn't just about them. It was a call to extend their newfound understanding into the world that so desperately needed it. Let me share a story, she began, her voice confident yet tender. A story about a man who felt lost in his own storm. Everyone leaned in, anticipation tightening around them. He lived not far from here and carried a weight heavier than any storm. His name was David, and every night he battled the waves of despair, feeling like he was drowning in helplessness. But one day he took the first step and acknowledged his struggle. Sarah's narrative flowed seamlessly, recounting how David had sought solace in a local cafe, where he chanced upon a group of believers who had gathered to share their journeys. There, he discovered the second step, learning to breathe. Each inhale a prayer, each exhale a release. As he immersed himself in community, Sarah continued, David unearthed the power of gratitude. He began to see how, amidst the chaos, blessings still flowed, a child's laughter, the warmth of a friend, the beauty of dawn breaking over a troubled sea. This shift awakened a faith within him that had long been dormant. Nods of recognition spread through the room like light, illuminating dark corners. It was as if they felt his struggle, as if each of them had once been caught in facing waves of uncertainty. So how did it all unfold for him? An inquisitive voice came from the back, breaking the silence. Sarah smiled, encouraging the interaction. By surrendering the need for control, David began to let life flow. When he dared to trust in something greater than himself, miraculous moments started to unfold in his life. Tiny miracles appeared, a job he didn't expect, friends who stood beside him, and a renewed sense of purpose. His journey didn't have a quick fix, but with every step he embraced, peace settled deeper within him. In the hushed sanctuary, people exchanged glances, a shared understanding of hope igniting. David found that carrying burdens becomes lighter when shared, Sarah reminded them gently. And faith thrives in community, blossoming unexpectedly in companionship. There is a moment of quiet reflection, each soul processing the depths they had just uncovered. Now, think on this, Sarah said, her voice lowering to a hush. What if we each became vessels of peace in the storms of others? What if we chose to unlock this journey together, bringing light into lives that feel shadowed? The congregation's energy surged with a newfound intensity, breaths coming in sync as the impulse to transform began to grow among them. Yes, Sarah faced them. The doors of possibility swung wide. What miracles could await when we join hands as changemakers? With that question lingering, a gentle, radiant warmth enveloped the room, and Sarah felt the anticipation grow. But she knew they were only at the beginning of their journey. What awaited them just beyond this moment of clarity? With a heart eager for discovery, she could feel the divine whisper calling them deeper still. As the stillness settled like a soft blanket around them, Sarah felt a surge of energy in her heart, sensing that they were on the cusp of something remarkable. Let us not rush ahead, she urged, her voice steady. We must take a moment to let these insights marinate within us. There's a deeper layer waiting to be uncovered. Whispers of curiosity rippled through the congregation. Eyes sparkled as hearts hungered for what came next. Sarah could almost hear the divine heartbeat, rhythmic and reassuring, echoing through the silence. Picture David again, she invited, leaning forward slightly. He stood at the threshold of a new dawn, yet the shadows of doubt still loomed large. But he chose to step into the light, to embrace a community that welcomed him. Suddenly, a ripple of realization washed over the people. They were not so different from David, lives filled with their own struggles and burdens. They shared the same universal yearning for connection and purpose. What if we acknowledge our own storms? Sarah pondered aloud. What difficulties lie beneath our smiles? Could we allow the light we've found to shine on our darkness? The room grew heavy with contemplation. Sarah could see some brows furrowed, hearts reevaluating what it meant to be vulnerable in a world that often shunned it. David discovered something powerful, she continued, her voice taking on a softer cadence. He realized that in sharing his pain, others began to share theirs. And that is when healing began. Isn't it remarkable that by revealing our storms, we can facilitate refuge for another? A gentle nod of agreement moved through the gathering. They understood within simple acts of sharing, sacred bonds grew stronger. Hope lifted with each revelation shared, an unseen thread weaving them closer together. What if we practice this? Sarah asked, glancing around at her beloved community. What if we opened up, created safe spaces for one another? Can you imagine the impact we could have, not just on our own lives, but on the lives of those we encounter every day? A few in the congregation exchanged looks. A spark ignited, small but defiant against the darkness. They could envision relationships rekindled, families restored, friendships blossoming anew. Do you see how David became a beacon? He passed the grace forward, just as it had been given to him. In moments of honesty and acceptance, he found the divine weaving through his life. As her voice resonated through the air, the warmth of the Holy Spirit enveloped them like a gentle breeze, coaxing even the most guarded hearts to lean in a little closer. Now let us consider one more step, Sarah urged. What if we dared to be messengers of light? What if we intentionally sought out those who seem lost or broken, extending our hands as beacons of hope? The air thickened with expectancy as a few began to smile, enthusiasm igniting in their chests. They envisioned small actions of kindness offering a listening ear, a warm meal, or companionship in moments of loneliness. Imagine the ripple effects of such love, she urged. How many lives could be touched just by our willingness to be present? This unfolding journey is not just about us. It's about building a legacy of faith in our community. As Sarah paused, the room surged with an understanding both profound and tangible. They sensed the charge each moment offered them an opportunity to be vessels of change. An excited whisper broke the quiet, sparking a fresh wave of enthusiasm. But tell us what happened next for David. Someone called eagerly. With a loving smile, Sarah gazed at her eager congregation. But that is where our journey continues. Just as we are embarking on steps that await us, remember, that is merely the beginning. What life-changing encounters will arise as we commit to this path? The air crackled with tension and anticipation. Hearts raced, drawn toward a future alight with divine possibilities. And in that sacred moment, they felt the whisper urging them on a call to dig deeper into their own lives and into the lives they were destined to touch. A hush lingered over the congregation, pregnant with emotion. Sarah's heart thudded in rhythm to the growing anticipation. She could sense the Spirit beckoning them forward, whispering promises of transformation and hope. Now, let's dive deeper, she encouraged, her voice warm and inviting. What if we pause just a moment longer? She proposed. Let us reflect on the impact of sharing our journeys. What stories do we carry within us? What treasures lie hidden beneath the surface? Murmurs of contemplation arose as some shifted in their seats, grappling with the weight of unshared experiences. Memories flitted through the air, laden with unspoken emotions, swirling like autumn leaves caught in a gentle breeze. Let us remember, Sarah continued, there is power in our stories. Just as David faced his giants with unwavering faith, we too can choose to stand firm. But first, we must take a breath and acknowledge our own battles. A collective exhale swept through the room, an unspoken release of burdens held tightly for too long. Eyes glistened with tears, and a soft aura enveloped them, wrapping the gathering in warmth and understanding. Do not be afraid, dear ones, Sarah reassured them. You are here, not by accident, but by divine appointment. Each story, each pain, each joy it weaves together to form a greater tapestry of faith. The atmosphere pulsed with a shared recognition that vulnerability could lead to strength. The members caught glimpses of themselves reflected in David's journey, a reminder that they too were worthy of grace. Picture this, Sarah murmured gently. As we embrace our truths, we begin to build bridges, not walls. Imagine how freeing it would be to be met with compassion instead of judgment. How would it feel to lay down your shields? The silence was rich with contemplation, a sense of wonder building among them. Each soul was feeling the stirrings of what it might mean to truly connect, to see and be seen, to love and be loved without pretense. And here, let us consider the ripple effect, she urged, her gaze sweeping across the room, igniting hearts one by one. What if your shared experience sparked healing for someone else? What if your truth could save a weary traveler from isolation? A wave of emotion passed through the congregation, resonating deeply. Sarah could feel the Holy Spirit moving, nudging hearts toward a higher calling. Let us take a moment now, she suggested softly, to pray over these stories. Ask the Spirit to reveal your truth, to show you who needs to hear your voice. The moment is ripe with divine potential. As they bowed their heads, silence filled the space. Eyes closed, breaths deepened. People granted themselves permission to unveil their hearts, to surrender their secrets to God, and offer their pain as a gift of hope. Time seemed to stop as prayers rose like incense, filled with longing and promise. Tear-streaked faces sought solace, each yearning soul illuminated by a flicker of faith. Now, remember, Sarah said, breaking the stillness gently, as David was lifted by his tribe, we too can lift one another. Friendship blossoming from shared moments, joy igniting in connection. A cascading rippling of soft nods followed her words. The congregation transformed, finally grasping that they were not merely individuals, but a vibrant, unified body, interconnected by the threads of faith, hope, and love. Embrace this weight of glory. My friends, Sarah spoke with a fervor that ignited the air. The strength of community is waiting to be unlocked. The doors to healing, purpose, and impact swing wide before us. As she gazed at them, a flicker of excitement danced in her eyes, and a rush of questions filled the silence. What new paths will they discover? Whose burdens will they lift? And what peace awaits them as they walk forward together? The air hummed with unfulfilled promise, hearts poised for the next revelation, eager for the unfolding journey ahead. What divine wonders lie just beyond the horizon? A gentle warmth enveloped Sarah as she sensed the moment shift again. The silence felt sacred, ripe with expectation. She could nearly hear the rhythmic pulse of hearts longing for connection. Let us allow our stories to unfold. She spoke softly, inviting the congregation to embrace vulnerability point one by one. She could see brave souls responding to the Spirit's call. A woman on the front row slowly lifted her hand. I've struggled with my faith for years, she confessed, her voice unsteady but steadying with courage. I often feel lost, like I'm just going through the motions. A collective heartbeat echoed through the crowd, a mix of understanding and support. Thank you for your honesty, Sarah responded, her own heart swelling with empathy. We all know what it feels like to wander. But here, you are not alone. Her words hung in the air, shimmering with truth. Others began to nod, sharing unspoken stories of their own wanderings. That a young man joined in, his voice tinged with emotion. I lost my job last year, and it felt like my whole world fell apart. I thought God had turned his back on me. Gasps of recognition rippled through the room. It was as if the walls themselves leaned in, eager to hear more. You've reminded us, Sarah said gently, that valleys bring opportunities for growth. Just as flowers bloom through cracks in the pavement, we too are invited to rise in difficult seasons. The atmosphere thickened with hope as more hearts opened. A soft whisper began to circulate, a litany of shared struggles and shared victories. When we vocalize our pain, Sarah encouraged, we create sacred space for healing. What we think separates us often becomes what binds us. Suddenly, a wave of intercession filled the room as many bowed their heads again, offering their burdens up to God. A woman's soft sobs punctuated the air. Sarah approached her with tenderness. Dear sister, your vulnerability is a beacon of hope for others here. God sees you. He hears your cries. The congregation, sensing the weight of this moment, united in prayer. Words became a flowing river, carrying brokenness toward healing. Sarah marveled as each voice contributed to a symphony of faith. Let us declare together, God is near to the brokenhearted, she proclaimed, her voice rich with conviction. And then, with a sudden stillness, they all paused to listen. It felt as though the air thickened with divine presence, as if heaven itself was leaning in. Sarah took a moment to breathe in the holy hush, allowing the peace of the Spirit to sweep over them. Can you feel the transformation happening right now? She asked, her eyes gleaming. In this moment, we are not just a collection of stories, but a single narrative laced with grace. Each struggle is an invitation to witness God's faithfulness. Her gaze brought light to those who sought it, illuminating face after face as beauty replaced despair. She sensed the Spirit igniting potential in everyone, wrapping around them like a comforting hug. Remember, we have the power, she continued, to turn our past aches into testimonies of triumph. The stories you share ripple outward. They can inspire others, lift them from their own shadows. An audible wave of faith surged through the gathering. These moments felt timeless, held in a sacred balance where worries faded, replaced by an unshakable peace that only God can offer. A rich silence settled upon them once more, not empty, but alive with possibility. What stories lie waiting in the hearts of those on the edge of surrender? Who else is yearning to be seen, to experience the embrace of community? As Sarah prepared for the next chapter of their journey, hope ignited within her. What if the very stories we fear to share are the keys to unlocking freedom for others? Eager anticipation raced through the congregation. Together, they would unravel the divine mysteries awaiting them, ready to step into paths previously unimagined. What revelations would unfold, leading them closer to the heart of God? As the silence enveloped them, Sarah felt a gentle tug at her spirit, like a whisper inviting her deeper into this moment. She had opened a door of opportunity, but what lay beyond? She scanned the faces before her, reflecting both trepidation and eagerness. It was clear that many had stories simmering just beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to rise. That a small voice broke through, hesitant yet firm. An older man in the back stood, his hands trembling slightly. "I've been a believer for most of my life, but these past years have been filled with doubt. I wonder, has God forgotten me?" His eyes shimmered with unshed tears, and an unmistakable wave of empathy washed over the congregation. "Dear brother," Sarah replied, her heart pouring out in compassion, "your honesty touches us all. Doubt can feel like a heavy weight, sometimes too much to bear. But remember, even in our uncertainty, God is present. He is not distant. He is infinitely near." Nods of recognition spread throughout the room. They conjured memories, whispers of fear and questions, times when faith felt like stepping out onto a precipice. "I often think of how even the greatest heroes of our faith faced doubt," Sarah continued, her voice rising. "Think of the disciples. They walked with Jesus and still feared in the storm. It was in the storm that they encountered deeper truths about his love and power." Her words struck a chord. The atmosphere shifted, brightening as they engaged with this intimate truth. Many reflected quietly, absorbing the idea that doubt didn't equate to a lack of faith, but rather a journey towards trust. "Let us bring our doubts to him," Sarah urged. "Let's lay them down like offerings. They don't make us weak. They remind us we are human, yearning for connection with the divine." With renewed encouragement, a woman rose beside the older man. "I lost my son last year," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "I wrestle with my faith every single day. Some days, I don't even know how to pray." Her admission hung like a fragile crystal, a reflection of grief that resonated deeply. "Love," Sarah whispered, "your honesty in pain is a profound act of faith. In your brokenness, there is no need for perfect words. Your heart speaks louder than any prayer. God listens to the language of our tears. He calms the storms raging within us." The warmth of understanding spread again, creating a tapestry of shared struggles. Others began to rise, sharing burdens that had weighed heavily on their hearts. Each voice opened another door, each story uniting them all in their common humanity. The connections forged in that space were palpable and sacred that a wave of worship began to build, voices intertwining in a melody of grace. The air buzzed with anticipation, every note carrying stories of surrender and healing. Amid this, Sarah took a step back, allowing the Spirit to weave through the assembly. She felt the subtle shift, an invitation to a new depth of connection. She sensed that many struggled with unspoken fears, a longing for divine reassurance, answers to questions that lingered just out of reach. What if, she pondered aloud, God wants to meet us in our questions rather than through our answers? What if the journey itself is where the real transformation happens? As the congregation pondered these notions, hope soared like sunlight breaking through clouds. Hearts were realigning, and the spirit of faith breathed life into silent prayers. Yet, Sarah knew that these revelations were just the beginning. The mysteries of God were vast, filled with hidden glories yet to be uncovered. She felt the gentle nudging of the Spirit. What were they being prepared for? What would they discover together as a community fully surrendered? "Let us continue to venture into vulnerability and faith," she encouraged. "Together, we are on the brink of discovering the miracles that await us when we lean fully into His presence." What transformation waited on the other side of their surrender? Would they be ready when God unveiled His purpose for their shared stories? Excitement buzzed in the air, prompting everyone to step forward with tentative faith. As the sun began to set, painting the sky with hues of amber and gold, Sarah stepped into the sacred space once more. The atmosphere thrummed with anticipation, charged with the collective energy of her beloved congregation. They had journeyed through storms, pain, and doubt, yet here they stood, tethered by the tapestry of their shared experiences. Today, my dear friends, she began, her voice soft yet resolute, we will embrace the power of transformation that faith offers us, how each of our storms can lead us to profound healing and hope. The congregation leaned in, hearts aligned and spirits open. With each word, Sarah painted a vivid picture of God's promises, describing how the winds of their struggles could become catalysts for divine encounters. Imagine this, she continued, her hands moving gracefully as if guiding the currents of faith. When adversity knocks at our door, it can serve as an invitation, a holy whisper urging us to draw closer to God. It's in those moments of vulnerability that the heavens open. She could see the faces before her brighten with understanding. Murmurs of agreement filled the room, echoing the unspoken truth that had woven them together through trials and triumphs. Let us reflect on our journey, she urged, inviting them to visualize their own storms and what they had taught them. What if we choose to see our pain not as an ending, but as a beginning? Let the weight of what we carry become a bridge to deeper communion with one another. A prophet of shared experiences emerged in the room. Voices rose like an anthem. Stories intertwined, weaving a beautiful fabric of resilience and faith. A young woman spoke of her battle with loneliness, a testament to discovering friendship where she least expected it. An elderly man recounted the miraculous healing that followed a long season of doubt, a powerful reminder that God's timing is intricately perfect. With each testimony, Sarah felt waves of God's presence wash over them. She closed her eyes briefly, surrendering to the unfolding miracle that enveloped them, a sacred synergy of hope, love, and transformation. Today, I declare a new chapter for us, she said, her gaze sweeping the room. We are no longer defined by our struggles. We are defined by how we rise, how we connect, and how we unlock the peace that surpasses understanding. The congregation erupted in joyful cries, hands raised in unity, hearts beating in rhythm with the unfolding divine narrative. Now is the time for action, Sarah called above the joyous noise. Let us band together. Let us commit to being vessels of this peace, a community alive with purpose. She could feel the ripples of renewed commitment, each soul woven tighter by shared resolve. Let us dare to extend our hands and hearts beyond these walls. Let us be beacons of hope for those still caught in storms. Together, we can unlock the peace that has transformed us and share it generously with the world. As she spoke, a divine hush fell over the room once more, an ethereal moment where time stood still. Everyone closed their eyes, embracing the spirit of service that had gripped their hearts. They echoed prayers of submission, thanking God for the gift of peace and asking for strength to be messengers of his love. Remember, friends, Sarah interjected softly, our journey doesn't end here. Today is just the beginning. As we walk out these doors, may we carry this divine light into every corner of our lives. The sound of their collective amen resonated with power and hope, reverberating through the walls of St. Gabriel's, each voice a sacred note in a divine symphony. With indelible smiles and energized hearts, the congregation began to spill out of the sanctuary, infused with purpose, ready to embrace the world. Sarah felt the warmth of community surround her, emboldening her spirit. This was at the moment they had long awaited, a profound transition from uncertainty to unwavering faith. She knew that in the days ahead, they would face challenges, but now they would do so together, armed with the lessons they had unlocked at AS. They stepped into the dusk. The light from St. Gabriel's lingered behind them like a sanctuary, a beacon of collective faith ready to shine far into the night. Oh now. Beloved community, as this journey concludes, remember that you hold the key to profound transformation. Share your stories, ignite hope, and embody the peace that has overwhelmed us. This is the moment to rise. Make that choice today. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive faith stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support is crucial. Comment your reactions and testimonies about this moment of healing and transformation. And don't wait even one more second to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation. This is the moment to show your support. Only true servants of God understand the importance of spreading hope and love. You are needed in the movement,